Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Samurai Schultz, and welcome to HATEND. Now, obviously, this isn't Unreal Engine. We are in Krita, which I haven't been since I started doing these streams, pretty much. So, been about 6 months. It's been since January. Um, why are we in Krita, you might ask? Well, Unreal Engine, that's all good. It's all good to program. And even Blender, that's good too. It's good to learn to model. But what I'm realizing is the thumbnails for these streams are bland as hell, and I need to fix that. Um, and in thinking about that problem, I realized, hey, I'm going to need some concept art, so I have a vision to go back to. Um, so today, that's pretty much what we're doing. We're making concept art, and I watched a video recently that detailed the process of learning how to draw if you are more on the analytical side, personality wise. And that's definitely me. Like, I am definitely an overthinker and, yeah, very much just over analytical. So basically, the approach that I'm taking for the instructions of this video, and I'll put that video in the description if I can. I don't think I can put it in chat. But pretty much you work on one feature at a time. So, for example, in drawing, because it doesn't only apply to drawing, but the guy that made this in 2016 was talking about it in relation to drawing, and you focus on one part of the whole. So if you're trying to be better at drawing people, just try drawing the head. That's arguably the most important part, generally, for the average person. And for that, you would just, you know, let's actually do it right now. So I'm going to draw a head here, and that's actually a little too hard. And we're not going to try to get things right. We're just going to iterate with each one. So I'm going to use my dividing lines. So there's the center of the face. I'm going to try to do it so it's facing this way. Let's make that arrow a bit more obvious. So I'm going to try to draw it facing that way, and then I'm going to draw an eye line, so right about there. It looks like it's kind of looking up, so I'm just going with that. And I'm going to try putting the eyes right here like that, and then I'm going to add the mouth, and I'll add the nose as well. And then we'll even add a hairline. What the heck? So I'll add another line up there. And I'll leave it at that. I'm just trying to focus on the proportions of those three features. So if you're using this iterative approach, I have an analytical mind. Instead of drawing and erasing, drawing and erasing, drawing and erasing, it's way more encouraging to be like, okay, so what did I do right here and what did I do wrong here? Okay, let's see. So I mean, the nose wasn't quite the right size. Um, these two eyes, it kind of looks like they're looking more forward than they are looking to the right of the figure in the figure's perspective. And then obviously the head here needs to be a closed loop. Okay, so second iteration, I'm going to try to, okay, that's better. That's a little bit more closed. And then also The chin, it leans more that way, so that's good. Okay, let's... But my lines were good in this one, so I'm going to try to keep that. So I'm going to try to go there. That's all right. Then we'll go here. And then I'm going to do that. So that eye is just a little bit smaller than that one. And then I'm going to put that right there. And then... Actually, I'm going to redo that real quick. Okay, that's... I'm going to leave it there. And then we'll do the hairline again. Okay. So, what did we do differently? Well, we made the nose smaller. It took a couple tries to get that, but that's okay. So we made the nose smaller. And I made the mouth a little bit closer to the chin. That looks more accurate to me. And if I wanted to, I could use a reference image. But since it's so simple, I feel like I've got this. It's just what looks right. So you are developing your hand and what your hand produces based on your visual library. So look at this. Now I have 2 items in my visual library. I'm like, oh, here's all the flaws here. There's some flaws. And then we had some boons. Some good things. Right? And then here, I'm just going to take my flaws and my boons. And just like I took them over here, or rather I didn't take them over there, but I took my boons over here. Now, that's a terrible arrow, but you get the point. Now the flaws, well, what are my flaws here? Okay, well, I mean, these are minor details, don't really matter. Let's see, we didn't quite close the loop, although it is a little bit better, so I'm going to make sure I don't carry those flaws over to the next one. But the boons, I am going to carry over. And so on, right? So you're just... It's pretty much exactly how it sounds. The iterative approach is making iterations, like separate ones, of small features. And you might be thinking, oh, well, even if you do perfect this, all you're going to know how to do after practicing this, like 500 times? Because after 500 times, it's going to be really good, right? But the problem arises, oh, well, you only know how to draw this. All you know how to do is draw basically, 4 elements with, well, really 3 elements with 4 lines, because you know how to, that center line and the 2 cross lines. Right, yeah, so 4 elements, and then you have the head, the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. It doesn't, but it still does translate over to other profiles of the face, even if only approximately, because then you're like, oh, okay, well, I basically have these proportions here correct, but then it's going to take less time to do a different profile, like a side profile. So it does carry over somewhat. It's not as large of a gap as you might think. So what I would like to do today is, and I'm thinking about what is the most eye-catching for my game. What is the most iconic to my vision for the game? What catches my attention when I think about my game? Because that's probably what's going to catch other people's attention. So using this approach, I'm actually going to be drawing an eye. All right. So my eye, it's not going to look like a left eye or a right eye. It's because a left eye or a right eye, they're asymmetrical, right? Because they're supposed to be symmetrical to the center line of your face. But in this instance, we're going to be doing something like a large arch, and then we'll have this underneath, And I'll be making a iris, and then we have the pupil in the center. And we have some little, I'm actually not going to do the eyelashes. That's not super important. But then we'll have, let's see. Actually, I need to give myself a little bit more room. I forgot how many details there are to this. So we're going to do that. So we have that there. And then we're going to do like this spire structure on either side. And I'm just going to try to get this whole thing as symmetrical as possible along this. Okay, well, I didn't draw that line correctly, but along this line, roughly there, okay? And then I also want it to be symmetrical in this axis. Okay, so what did I do right here? Okay, well, I like this curve. I like that it only goes down. That's kind of what I'm looking for, but does go down a little bit too much. All right. Well, obviously we're having some symmetry problems. You know, my lines are a little bit shaky. This curve is more shallow compared to this curve. And then same thing with this one. It's also not really centered on that line. And here I don't even have like a perfect image of an eye. Although I do have a reference. I'm going to bring that up actually. And um, whatever you might think about the ethics of I do think it's a useful tool for um, for kind of just getting like a rough kind of collecting a vibe for the thing that you want to create. So I'm actually going to show that here. Oh wait, I wonder if I can. I wonder if I'm not actually sure I can show that. But I've got a reference image over to the side. I'm just going to look at that just for a little bit. And it's just laying out some proportion. That's pretty much all I'm taking away from it. Um, it's just an eyeball in the center of an eye, and there's flames around it. So, all right, I'm just going to take a quick, okay, I'm actually going to close that then. So what I'm taking away from that image I just looked at is this eyeball needs to be bigger. The whole thing just needs to be bigger. So I'm gonna say some of our boons are shape, and then one of my flaws is too small, and then I'm just gonna put asym for asymmetrical. That looks like a slang word. I cannot get that out of my head now that I'm actually putting that down. But it means asymmetrical. Whoops. Not that last one. There you go. And there's actually supposed to be another M there, but whatever. So we're gonna try doing another version of this. So let's try. Okay, not even that much. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna make it really, really big. I'm gonna make it fairly thick. And I know I've been undoing a little bit of my work, like here and there, but I'm gonna try not to do that. I'm going to try to draw some flames. I think you kind of get the idea. My flames are not the greatest, but looking at it, you're like, okay, I think that's fire. you know, and then we're gonna do some things on the bottom. And by the way that this appears in the game is draw some little swirls, flaming swirls. The way that this appears in the game is the eye is located on the forehead of the player. It's like a gift of sorts, and this is where your power comes from. Okay, so we have that. Honestly, I think this is a good amount going on. I don't think we want to add much more detail than this, at least right now. And honestly, since this eye does have so much symmetry, I would need to learn how to use Krita way more in order to actually properly draw this. Because there's a lot of like fringes that I want to add. You know, the iris needs to be symmetrical. So yeah, so let's see here. We got some. All right, I'm actually gonna do B for boons, F for flaws. So some boons. I'm gonna say it's accurate. So it's vibe accurate. That's kind of what I'm going for with this image. Might be another thing. Well, I can think of one flaw is it's asymmetrical. It's still asymmetrical. And that's fine because we drastically changed our vision here. Like pretty drastically. Okay. I was about to pull up the image again, but I'm actually not going to because I want this to be more original. I already got some inspiration from that AI image. I don't want to pull any more from that. I want this to be from my own head for the most part. So what I did there was definitely enough. Let's and by the way, we're gonna just do this for we're gonna be doing this for like 30 minutes at the beginning of every weekday stream, I think. I really need to focus on my drawing skills for my concept art. So every day we're going to be practicing drawing one object, probably. Maybe I'll switch it up, but definitely going to be doing this. And then it will be an hour of programming in C++. And then after that, we'll be doing Blender. I need to be way more consistent about doing Blender. I didn't do it for the past couple days, so yeah. Oh, and then another boon. I liked the shakiness around the eye. That wasn't even intentional. I'm gonna say shaky iris. So I do like that. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna circle that. I wanna come back to that because that was not in my original vision. If I can just circle that. Great, there we go. I'm gonna say the fire's too lumpy. It feels a bit too much like a cloud and not enough like a spurt of flame that's continually flowing. I want it to flow from a center point. Let's see. Flame, too lumpy. Okay. So we're really gonna really gonna work on this again. Okay. Okay, that's pretty good. That's actually not bad. And I gotta really work on um trying not to erase or undo. That is not the goal. Okay, so let's make a nice center line. We've even got that little lump at the end that all eyes have. So I'm gonna make sure we really add that in there. Oh, you know what? I know what this is missing. It needs an eyelid. No eyelid. So that will probably be one of the only things that's asymmetrical. Well, actually, there's still the eyelid on the bottom, the doy. So, and I'm gonna take my finger off the undo button. Man, it's such a hard habit to break, but I'm gonna try. Okay, we're gonna add some wrinkle lines. And I'm gonna add that on the bottom. And I want this eyeball to be really big. So I'm gonna make it really big. Whoa, I am going to undo that. Okay, so we have the iris there. And then on the bottom, we're going to have the flame coming from that central point, right? So I'm going to bring this out. We'll add some flames on the other side. I really like this so far. This is quite good. We're dealing with some asymmetry here, but we're dealing with it. Okay, so we're going to add that there. Bring each side up to the top. And honestly, practicing drawing fire might be a that might be an object that we have to practice in itself. Or, sorry, not in itself, by itself. So, I'm gonna make this side a little bit taller. Okay, so now we're getting much closer to my vision for this. And by the way, the final product of this is what I want to show for the thumbnail instead of the Unreal Engine watermark with the background thing that I've been using. Because this is going to be way more iconic than that, and it's more representative of what I'm doing. I'm not just working in Unreal Engine, I'm working on my game. So, but yeah, speaking of Unreal Engine, I have not worked in the level design project for a little bit. I want to get some more practice with that. And we stopped working on the project together, but I'm still using it as a level design practice thing. Using it to practice my level design, basically. Make it dark around the edges. Okay, I think that's good enough. That's plenty of detail. Maybe we add a little bit there, just to show that that's the iris. Okay. Boons. It's even more vibe accurate. It is vibe accurate. Flames are better looking. Flames. Hmm. They're more fiery, I guess. Like it looks like they're coming. I'm just gonna say flames. I like the flames. I think they're better. What else did we change here? Eyelids. Right, yeah. So we added eyelids, and I like how those look. I think they're pretty good. Eye size is good. And I'm going to leave it off there. I don't want to add too many boons. I want to focus on what I can do better. The boons are, if I listed every single good thing about this, that might take a while because you could break it down indefinitely. But I think those are the main ones. I think those are the best right there. So, flaws, flames, ironically enough. So we have flames being kind of bad. What's wrong with the flames? They're too ribbony. They look more like goofy string wrapped around toilet paper and not enough like flames. So we need to fix that. What else? They're also not tall enough at the top. Flames too short. I know you're not supposed to have food or drink, but I gotta stop her on it. It's gonna be okay. It'll be all right. Okay, so flames too short. Whoops. Here, let's move that back over. Whoops. Hmm. It doesn't look. I was gonna say it doesn't look animated enough, but obviously that's kind of the problem here. Makes it way harder to actually really bring that vision to life because this eye is basically an entity living inside of your head. Oh, that's an interesting thought. Okay, we won't be able to get to it this time because we have less than a minute left. But showing the eye looking at different things. Right, so now we're kind of adding some animation, right? So I'm going to make a note here. We're going to say show different. Whoops. That's a weird looking eye. Show different poses. Okay. And that's all. I'm gonna save that. And oh, I have to name this. I'm just gonna call this I practice. Yes, saved. Okay, so I'm gonna exit out of that because I already just gonna Control S again to make sure. Okay, now I've got to I'm doing something. I'm doing something. Oh, right. I'll just do this. Okay. So I'll show what I've been working on here. And actually, I'm just going to use display capture for this because otherwise it's going to be insufferable. Like the other times I've tried not to use display capture. It's just been bad. So, anyway, I finished I think 1 or 2 lectures today before stream, and let me close that. And we have, well, we still have to wait for this project to load. It's still loading down there. But I've been working on the effect actor, which is, if you remember, it's the object in the world that if the character overlaps with it, it changes something on our ability system component. In this case, we're trying to get it to increase or decrease our health or intuition, right? Those hard stats that we were talking about. I'm going to move my tablet out of the way. Yeah. Now, yeah. I'm going to continue with this. I was going to talk about drawing again, but that's the ADHD going at me again. I just want to fix this. Context handle. Going to copy and paste that. I just noticed the H wasn't capitalized, so I want to fix that. It's just a good naming convention. Okay. So, excuse me. Before in here we had a function called begin on. We had begin overlap and end overlap, and then on begin overlap, we were getting our attribute set for the overlapping actor, and then adding 25 to either health or intuition. But the problem with that is it's hard coded in there, which means every time we want to change what attribute it changes, we have to be like, oh, okay, get the intuition attribute. Oh no, get the stamina attribute. So we have to change it manually. We had to anyways. But with this, the nice thing about this, and I'll boot it up so you guys can see, but it uses a variable called gameplay effect class, and we can modify that. Or sorry, we can bring this. I'll just show it in Blueprint. It's way easier. There we go. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, so here we have a blueprint that's based on the effect actor class, HATEND effect actor. So here we have the mesh and the sphere. So actually let's look at this one. This one's easier. This one's feels a little bit more intuitive. So we have this mesh, and it's just It's just an object that blocks light collision. We can change some other collision stuff on it. It's pretty straightforward. And then this sphere it's a sphere collision component, so it can detect overlap events, so whether something is overlapping with it or not. So when I select this, we can do on begin overlap sphere. So I made it an event based on this. So when something overlaps with it, we are going to, well, we're going to use this for a bunch of stuff in C++. But then, yeah, so we're going to basically, wow, I'm not speaking well today. When this happens, when something overlaps with the sphere, this function will happen in tandem with, or right after. And then after the effect takes place, the actor will be destroyed. So I'll show you how it works. So if I'm playing in the world on the top left, actually I'll make, oh wait, if I press F11, yeah, there you go. So on the left side we have our health potion. So the way that I consume my health potion is I just walk over it. And when I walk over it, my health bar should go up from 50% to 75%, because we're currently at 50 out of 100 health. And the health potion should increase our health by 25. Boop, there we go. And we even have our message that says hello that we need to delete. So let's unfold on. Okay, interesting. So anyway, let's look at here what's happening. So I already explained this part. So it's applying the effect, right? And that's what's changing that health attribute, and then it's gone. It's just destroyed. And here, so here's the function that we called in Blueprint. So apply effect to target, apply effect to target. It's the same thing. We're going to ignore this comment. That's just for me. But here, we're basically getting the ability system component of our target actor. So what is our target actor? Well, it's a parameter in this function. It's an input, something that the function takes in, along with a gameplay effect class, which for the purposes of this conversation is basically just a gameplay effect. So this function is going to take in the other actor, so the actor that's overlapping with this health potion, and it's going to try to get the ability system component of that target actor. And for some reason the name didn't update, because this should say target actor, because that's the name of the parameter right there. So don't know why that happened, but yeah, weird. Anyways, so if that target ability system component, so the ability system component of the target actor, if that is a null pointer, which means it doesn't exist, basically, then we're just going to return. It's not going to execute any of this. I feel like this, if I tried to explain this, it would just get kind of unnecessarily heady. But basically the flow of it is, from that target ability system component, we're getting something called the effect context handle, which is a collection of different data related to the effect, the gameplay effect. And then from that, we get the effect spec handle, which has some data. And then using that data, we apply the gameplay effect spec to self. And then, so in Blueprint, the gameplay effect that we're taking in is this GE underscore potion health, which we created And what that does is it modifies the health of our HATEND attribute set, which is on the player. It belongs to the player. And the way it modifies that, there's a modifier operation. It's going to add 25. So yeah, we overlap with it. It adds 25 to that attribute, and then it's then reflected in our health bar. So that's pretty much it. That's like all of the. That's all of the. That's all of what I worked on this morning. And a good I mean, it seems like not that much, but a good deal of it was trying to understand it because I did not understand it before. Anyways, I'm going to watch the lecture. Yeah, so that was actually 50 minutes of lecture time that I did this morning, but I finished it in like roughly 2 hours. About 2 hours. Yeah. And that was an instant gameplay effect. There's different kinds. There's instant, infinite, which means it's applied every so often until it's told to stop being applied. And then there is has duration, which just has a duration. You know, like if you get set on fire, you could have a fire effect applied to you, and it's applied you take damage every second for 5 seconds, something like that. There we go. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. Whoa, wait a second. Wait a second. If we take our other actor, we can call get ability system. Oh, I see, I see. Wait a second. Where's my... Wait, do we not have electronic nodes turned on? What? It is turned on. It's... Oh. Oh, I see. They're so close together that... Okay. Hmm. It's a little strange. Okay, whatever. Okay, so... Pretty much... Just like how we called this get ability system component from target actor using uAbility system blueprint library. This library is actually built into the blueprint system. So we're in blueprints right now, and we have uh, an A actor. We have an actor that we can call this on, so we can get the ability system component in blueprint. So that's like the equivalent of our C++. So now we're pretty much converting this code into Blueprint. So I'm gonna try to do that myself. He's doing it right now, but I'm gonna try to do it myself. So okay, so we're going to make, let's see. Let's check to see if it's valid. So I'm gonna say is valid. Okay, that's not how that should be working. Anyway, I'm gonna hook that up right there. If it's not valid, there's no return node, is there? Yeah. What if we did the other type of is valid? We did. Oh, I see. Yeah, so we have a, yeah. This is a pure function versus a, yeah, okay. Alrighty. So if it is valid, we are going to make an effect context. Make effect context. Okay, why is it doing that? I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna make an effect context, and then where are we using this next? Okay. That is gonna be our effect context handle. And that's using that effect context handle, we add a source object. If I try to add source, get source object. Okay. And where do we use this effect context handle next? We make, well, based on target ASC, which is this right here, we make an outgoing spec. And that's, yep, right. So we take in a gameplay effect, we take in a level, and we take in a context. And we need that context right there. That's not going to work. That is not relevant. Okay. Make outgoing spec. And that's effect spec handle. And what are we doing with that effect spec handle? Well, we are then applying the gameplay effect spec to self. So I'm going to drag off from this again. And what was it again? Apply gameplay effect spec to self. There's something very beautiful but also ugly about this at the same time. Huh. Okay, so we apply gameplay. Yeah. Apply gameplay effect spec to self. With this, the effect spec handle. And what was our effect spec handle? I think it was this right here. Yeah, I'm so smart. So using this, we're gonna data. Let's look at data. Get data registry item. Get effect context. Get spec handle. Make outgoing. That should be the same thing right there. I think that's it. No? I think that's okay. Wanted to rearrange that for some reason. Interesting. Actually, I like this better. I like this pattern. It soothes my soul. We're gonna move this up though. And I'm gonna save that. We don't have a level. We want to just hard code that in because we hard coded that in right here. 1.f. That's just a float convention. And we'll just put in health for now. So I'm gonna compile, and I want to test that. And I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure Steven's got his own thing. You know, my instructor that is. But I want to, okay, save all once more. And I want to see if this works or if it just completely crashes. It works. It just didn't destroy. So if we just add destroy. Hey, look at that. I'm so smart. After going through this course a second time. Okay. Let's see if he got it right. This guy. Come on, Steven. Ooh. Wait. He. Hold up. Wait, hold on. Okay. So when I. Yeah, so right here, when I was trying to, get the, or make source, what was it? What was the C++ thing? Add source object. And I was like, oh, add source. Okay, nothing came up. Yeah, there's just some functions that are only visible in C++. Because by default, when you create a function, it's not going to be exposed to Blueprint. You have to add a specifier. So, for example, you function blueprint callable. Yeah, it's the blueprint callable specifier, and I think yes, that would make it visible to blueprints. I think there might be some other one here. Let's see, blueprintable, blueprint cosmetic, blueprint getter. Yeah, there's a bunch of other ones. I haven't even worked with all of them. I've used blueprintable, blueprint callable, of course, and blueprint implementable event. And blueprint pure. That was a while ago though. I have not used that one for a long time. But we're not going to be using that anytime soon. Yeah. So he just made a mention about that, and yeah. I don't want to say anything about that in case I was making a mistake about not being able to access. What was it again? Yeah. Because he was like, oh yeah, look, this is what we get when we type in source. So I didn't want to say anything about it until I was sure, but he just brought it up and explained it. So I figured I would explain it too. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. First half hour is very eye-opening. Man, see what you did there. Man, you're smart. You should be a YouTuber like me. Wow. Um, but yep. Glad you found it that way. Anyway. Okay, they're mowing again. So, that's going to be a thing now. Listening to me over the sounds of mowing in the background. Uh, Okay. Now the question arises, why the heck am I doing this? Why would I take this C++ code, which is very elegant and beautiful, and turn it into this, which is also fairly elegant, but it's in Blueprint. Like, why would I do that? Well, first of all, because my instructor is doing it, and I'm sure he has a pedagogical objective, but it's also just way easier to iterate in Blueprint. So if I was first developing this logic, then it's way easier to, or sorry, not developing. If I'm trying to create a system, and in this instance, it's a system in which I'm applying a gameplay effect. If I'm prototyping some logic, it's way easier to iterate in Blueprint and then optimize it by converting it to C++ and then adding in all the other bits that are only native to C++. Because this is less performant. This is not as performant. I mean, yeah. Like this is pretty lightweight. You're not doing a ton of calculation in here. I mean, pretty much all we're doing is we're getting an ability system component, we're making a spec, and then at it, which is a struct essentially. It's a struct, and we're getting one value from there, and then we're applying that value. So we're getting data in a trickle and then applying it, but it's not a ton of calculation. Um, it's very interesting to watch videos of how much Blueprint can weigh, like the difference between purely C++, like all of your logic being in C++, versus just Blueprint versus a hybrid. And purely Blueprint, I know a lot of like new game developers out there will be like, "Oh, I made my whole game in Blueprint." And actually, the developer behind Choo Choo Charles, which was a huge game, and I think that was back in 2022, maybe 23, somewhere in there, maybe even 21. But he said he didn't touch C++ ever, like never, and that's fine. He was making like a pretty sizable game too. Like I think there's, I don't know, around at least 4 hours of gameplay in there, and it was pretty photorealistic, like a lot of the scenery. But if you're making a game to the scale that I want to make my game, then a hybrid approach is best. Because if you have your logic in C++ and then you just call a function in Blueprint, you expose that function with that optimized logic to Blueprint, you call it in Blueprint, then you're not having to worry as much about optimization. That's like, yeah. The difference between purely C++ and hybrid is just pretty much negligible. But yeah, I'm going to keep going with this. Okay, I'm gonna hook this back up. Actually, I'm gonna move that there because it's once I press F, it's gonna fix everything for me. Oh wait, what? What is even happening? Oh, halfway through. We are halfway through. Okay. Why? Why do you do this to me? Okay, I disconnected it, so it's fine, I guess. It's fine, I guess. Okay, anyway, let's keep going. Right, talking about, yeah. Okay, he's, Okay, I'm actually going to skip this lecture because I've already been through it. This entire lecture is about duration, gameplay effects. It's fine. You can watch it. I already know how to use those and how he just yeah. He just goes through like, oh, when you choose has duration on here, then you can attribute based magnitude. Well, that's actually not what we want. Then you can have your scalable float magnitude. Um, and your scalable float that's just how long. You might as well just think of this as time in seconds, basically. That's pretty much what it is. So if I choose 10, then over 10 seconds, and let's say the period is every second, and then execute periodic effect on application. No, we do not want to do that. So that would mean whatever effect we have, actually I set this to 1. So for example, let's say we're adding 1 to health every period. So we can choose to add 1 health as soon as the gameplay effect is applied. So it's going to go, yeah. It's kind of like how most people count from 1 instead of counting from 0. If we check this, we're counting from 1. So now we added 1 health, 2 health, 3 health, 4 health, until we reach 10 seconds. Or we can start from 0, 0, 1, and on 1, that's when we apply 1 health. Periodic inhibition policy. Let's read the tooltip for this. How we should respond when a periodic gameplay effect is no longer inhibited. What the heck does inhibited mean? Well, that's what documentation is for. So if we need to know about that, then we can look at that. But I'm mainly concerned with just setting up all of my attributes and some gameplay abilities. That's kind of the vision for this prototype. So, yeah. Well, let's test this out in the world. In the world. So, health potion, instant gameplay effect class. Gameplay effects. Okay, I'm going to save before playing. Okay, let's test. So if I go over here, I'm actually going to show debug ability system. Okay, I know it's really small. Actually, it's still really small. Ugh. Okay. Health is at 50, max health is at 100. You'll just have to believe me if you can't read it. I thought it would increase, but oh well. You'll see the health bar increase at least a little better. So you can see the health bar ticking up. And then should stop right here. Yep. So now we're at 60 out of 100. Because after 10 seconds of applying 1 health per second, we went up by 10 total. Pretty simple stuff. Pretty simple. And then after that, he goes into periodic gameplay effects, which I cannot care less about. Actually, maybe I do care. We'll see. Maybe I do care. It does a bunch of explanation. Okay. And then after that, effect stacking. Okay. I'm gonna scrub through this lecture. Okay, there's a lot of explaining here too. Wow. Man, no wonder I had such a hard time understanding this. This is just super, super dense. Oh yeah, and then he does infinite gameplay effects. But this is a bit different. He does a little bit of explanation. Oh, this, yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll do this lecture. So in this one, I'm gonna make fire. I make fire. So let's go to ability system. We're going to create another gameplay effect. And I'm gonna try to do as much of this by myself as I can. I'm just gonna call this fire. And let's open this up. And we are going to modify, we're going to modify health. And we're going to add, I mean, I want to subtract here, but we're just going to make it, we're going to make player health go down by 1. So source tags, target tags, and source and target, that would be checking like, oh, does the target for this gameplay effect have this tag? And it's basically just a way to make rules and conditions like, oh, if they have this tag, then we do apply it. But if they don't have the tag, then we don't apply it. Query must match. Stacking type. Right. Each caster has its own stack. Each target has its own stack. Yeah, so I forget how stacking works exactly. But I think he will explain that a little bit. He explained it in the last lecture. I just don't want to go through that because it's kind of, that would just be me sitting there and streaming. I want to actually do work that is at least potentially entertaining. I'm going to remove that actually. And, oh, this is infinite actually. So infinite. And this is going to be, I think if we set it to 0, it won't be applied, or it will be applied every tick. Let's just do, I think every half second is just harsh enough. We do want to execute it right away because it's fire. Yeah, that's fine. Let's leave it there. Periodic inhibition. Okay, again, I don't know how that works. Don't care though. Lucky me. Components. What do components do again? Define how the gameplay effect behaves when applied. Okay. Block abilities with tags. Immunity to other effects. Oh. Interesting. Okay, immunity to other effects. Immunity queries. Oh, and then we would add... Okay. I haven't really used those. Huh. Interesting. Okay, and then just a reminder, we are going to be stopping in 20 minutes here to do some Blender. Stacking Set gameplay cues. Ah. Humbug. Don't care. Ask me if I care. I don't. I don't. Items. Let's make blueprints. It's going to be based on effect actor. That hot end effect actor. Okay, so BP underscore fire. Okay. And I don't have like actual fire. So we're gonna pretend. That's the magic of prototyping. You just get to pretend because you're too poor to buy assets you don't need. Try pyramid, shape tube. Let's at least use something that makes sense. Asset platform. What even? Oh, we zoomed in too much, I see. Control rig? What is this? Oh, weird. Huh. Hmm. Okay. Outdoor. I mean, that's just basically a cube. So, yeah, let's just use that. Yeah, that's a cool shape. I like it. Oh, actually, nah. Let's just use a regular cube. Uh-oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, and then on top of that, we need to add a box collision. I'm actually gonna copy the scale from there and paste it. Okay, that's too big. A little too big. Okay. And for the box, we need to set that to overlap all dynamic. This is going to be overlap all dynamic. I'm going to save that. And then here, we're going to do on begin, it's not being, begin overlap. There we go. We are going to apply a gameplay effect. And I think it should just work out of the box. Let's see here. So if we do apply game, whoops, apply effect to target. And on end overlap. Right, so we don't have anything to remove that effect, unfortunately. But we can apply it at least. So we'll have other actor, and we'll have instance, gameplay effect class, and I'm actually going to see it still hasn't updated the name. I don't know why. That is very silly, very silly. But that's fine. So we'll have fire. Save all that. Okay, we need to place it into the world, right? Okay, there's our fire. That should be big enough. Yeah, that's fine. That's just fine. Okay, so if we press play, then every half second you see it's taking our health down. And if we actually for debug ability system, we're at 15 health and counting down. And we should be able to go negatively, I think. Yes, so now we're going negatively because we don't have any of our attributes clamped. So that's kind of an issue we'll have to sort out later. Oh, but I'm too tired now. I'm too tired. Oh, that was one unsaved down there. Okay. Well, it's saved now. Anyway. Yeah, so now there's gonna be let's see here. Oops. I'm gonna copy this. So he actually whoops. He made a separate variable, a separate T subclass of U gameplay effect for the duration of let's see, duration of gameplay effect class. And then now he's making a separate one for infinite. So I'm going to do that as well. Okay. Okay. We're all saved there. I'm actually going to stop and rerun because I want this function to update the name for this. So hopefully that will do the trick. I don't know why it didn't do that before. Do 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 do. Okay, so now we have that there. Right. So in health potion, actually, we're gonna close these and open up fire, and then we're gonna open up the corresponding gameplay effect. Okay, let's see what he does. Right, he did. Okay, he's doing. Okay, there we go. Come on, Steven, hurry up. Okay. Hmm. Still going. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna instead of using that, we're gonna use infinite. Okay, it didn't work. It's apply. to target. Yeah. Okay, weird. Parameter has different names, target actor. So how do we fix that if we do Alt Enter? Hmm. Okay, not a huge deal right now. I just keep thinking about it. Okay, infinite gameplay effect class. Okay. Oh yeah, I didn't even show this, but when I go inside the fire, okay. I know what happened there. You want to know how I know? I know exactly what happened there. Because I am very smart. I didn't actually set the infinite gameplay effect. So then when I overlapped with the fire, it was like, oh, I'm supposed to apply nothing? So it, right. So then we got this check gameplay effect class, which is an assert. So if this is a null pointer, then it crashes the editor pretty much. Okay, so not gonna make that mistake again. Anyway, we have fire. We don't need that. Infinite. There we go. Save everything. And actually, we're gonna set this to fire. Then we'll save everything again. Then save, just to be sure. And then, yeah, that should be fine. Then when we press play and I overlap, it'll be fine. So you see how it's ticking down every half second? If I exit, it's still ticking down. And I'm not in the fire anymore, clearly. So we don't want that to happen. So there's going to be a lot of complicated logic associated with that. And it's kind of tricky to remove that gameplay effect because we have to figure out, okay, we essentially have to figure out which gameplay effect to remove. And to do that, we need to figure out what originally triggered it. And then we have to get that. Yeah, it's just a whole thing. Yeah. So let's close that. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so yeah, not there actually. Let's give that a space too. Up here. Oh, actually, a little bit below. We are going to make an enum, which is going to it's a selection that we can choose from in blueprints because we're going to expose it. We're going to expose it to blueprints. Let's see, enum blueprint type. Right. So now it's going to be exposed to blueprints. Which means we should be able to change it too. So edit. What are the other ones? Blueprintable? No. but this is gonna let us choose which policy we want, because these are different policies essentially. Okay, now I'm gonna slow them down to 1 times instead of 2 times. So enum class E effect application, oops, application policy. All right. So let's say applied effect on overlap. Apply on and overlap. Do not apply. Okay, well, let me make sure I'm understanding this. So for each, yeah, wait. So I said that these were policies, and that's actually not true. Effect application. But depending on essentially the state of our overlap, we want to be able to choose if we are how we are applying. Let's say we have an object that when we overlap with it, it gives us a duration effect, and so as soon as we overlap, it gives us that effect, and it starts counting down. And then when we end overlap, it would remove it. So let's say it's 20 seconds, and then 10 seconds in, we stop overlapping with that actor. Then it would remove it. So, and then we already saw how that would work with infinite, because it constantly applies it, and it's not going to remove it until we end overlap, purportedly, if once we implement that. But with the instant gameplay effect, it doesn't really matter, because once we overlap, like, the gameplay effect is applied and we're done. If we stop overlapping with it, we could choose to apply it again, I guess. But anyways, did I do something wrong here? Did I effect application policy? I feel like I did something wrong. Invalid blueprint type enum base. What do you mean? What does that mean? Currently only, oh. So, yeah. Oh, not unit. Oh, wait. Am I thinking about this right? I remember doing this before, and there was, yeah. Right. Okay. So enum, and I think right at the end. Yep. Bingo. Yep, that's what I had to do last time. Okay, I just looked at somebody else's question, and that's what they did too. Yes. Perfect. Okay. Right. It should be right. No. Okay. Oh, I just realized time is up. Time to switch to Blender. So I'm gonna do that, which is fine because I had started to kind of lose the plot a little bit here anyway. I think I've explained as much as I can now. So, yep, we're gonna be done with that. And let's switch. Blender. Blender. Okay. There we go. So we just sculpted the ear last time, and yeah, we need to change some stuff here. What exactly do we need to change though? I'm actually gonna, hold on. Human ear. I'm gonna compare these side by side. And this one's showing a left ear, or right ear. So, oh wow. Yeah, okay. Oh wait, I can't even edit from that side. I have to type in left human ear. That's hilarious. That's rich. Okay, so yeah, way more curve around here. Like I'd stop that way too early. Okay, that's more accurate. Gotta make that less pointed. I'm gonna smooth that out a little bit. Okay. And then, ooh, that's really thick. It's way too thick. Much too thick, you might say. Hmm. Wow. That's amazing. Just stellar. Okay, that's looking a lot better. Yeah, wow. Left human profile. Whoops. Face. Okay, I'm gonna just, whoops. Yeah, that's better. If only slightly. Switch to side profile, and we're just like right there. It's hard to do the iterative approach that I was talking about when drawing. It's hard to do that while blendering. I haven't quite figured out how to do that there. Much less in programming. It's a bit trickier. So, I'm sure we'll figure it out eventually, though. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna switch to, yeah, right here. Yeah. Positioning the eyeballs. Cool. Hmm. Okay. So just a sphere. Yeah, I wonder if he's gonna add an icosphere or just a regular sphere like I have. Whoops. Beautiful. The shadows kind of look like eyebrows. That's cool. Let's go to layout. Yeah. Wait. He goes really fast here. Mm-hmm. Okay, he does add the UV sphere. Yeah. I'm just gonna imagine that that's an iris. Is that a good place for that eye to be? Let's actually switch over to sculpting mode. Might be a little bit big, but I'm gonna roll with it for now. Oh yeah, eyeballs are huge. Right. Yeah, so apparently eyeballs can fit inside the head 6 times, or across the length of the head. So I'm gonna Alt D and move this here, and then I'm gonna Alt D again and move them along this axis. Okay, so maybe they're a little bit big. They're all linked. They're all. Oh wait, I have to be in edit mode. Right. Forgot about that silly rule. Hmm. Yeah. Still need to scale them down. Okay, I'm gonna delete those. Okay, these need to. That should be good. Okay, let's try it again here. D, and then use G to move them. And just about. I mean, actually, it depends if we're using isometric or perspective, because this is isometric, that's perspective, right? So isometric, they're too small by quite a significant amount. But in perspective, they're like barely fitting. Hmm. Hmm. I'm okay with the eyes being a little bit big, but definitely not too small. I think he's definitely in isometric view. Yeah, he's in front view. So yeah, I'm gonna scale these up, and then, whoops, I accidentally hid some objects. That's not what I wanted to do. X. Oh wait, these are all linked, but I have to. Okay, edit mode. Wait, I have those selected. Why doesn't it work? I don't understand. I'm gonna delete those. Okay. Alt D. Move them in. Alt D again. Move these out. Okay. Then back to front view. There we go. Then in edit mode. Why are they not selected? I don't understand. Okay. That's probably fine. Okay, those are barely overlapping. Okay. Oops. Okay. GX. Oops. Okay. I said we make them just a little bit bigger. Yeah, that should be enough. I'm gonna do that. We're gonna do that. Okay, they're just barely touching. Ooh, we could even go a little bit more. Yeah, just a little bit more. I'm gonna go like that much more, I think. That might even be a little too much. Hopefully not. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna be done with that. Oh yeah. Woo, it's already looking. Check it out. Oh wait, actually, if I do Shift Z, Shift Y. Think right. Like that. That's cute. 90. Yeah, it just looks more like an iris. It's just easier to deal with. Actually, I could use more of a brow right here. So I'm going to go to sculpt mode. Gonna select this. And I'm gonna draw just a little bit right there. Maybe that's a little too much. A little too pronounced. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna go with that. Gosh, this guy is very unique. Oh, whoops. I don't understand what he's doing here. Okay. Interesting. So he's saying the eyeball to configure this, or to figure out the size of the eyeball, that will be the most correct. It needs to be able to fit across the face 6 times. But to figure out the location, you have to figure out the locations of them fitting across 5 times. So if I select this and say I do Shift D, I'm going to duplicate these and move them up. Oops, G. Move these up. And I'm actually going to switch to wireframe just so it's a little bit easier to see. Hopefully it's easier to see anyway. Actually, what if we set this to 0? Whoops, that's not what I want. Location should be 0. Beautiful. All right, and then if I do Alt D so that they're linked, I go across like this. Actually, oops, GX. No. Alt D. Okay. They're just barely touching, and then Alt D again. And we need to go into front view. Ah, that looks cool. Check it out. That looks super dope. Okay. So now that we have each of these, I'm just going to select them individually and scale those up. And I'm going to move these away. I'm going to move these away. I do not want to have that selected. Okay. I'm going to scale this up a little bit more. Okay. So the location of these two right here is where these should go, I think. I'm just gonna fast forward here and see if that's what he's saying. Mm-hmm. Wait a second. Okay. So now I'm just gonna take, let's see here. I'm gonna take the X and I'm gonna copy it there. And that should be what I need. Solid? We're looking. Oops, actually, I need to go back to wireframe so I can select these. And I'm going to move them away. Oops, away. There we go. And then I'm going to use Z to move back to solid. And that is looking like a pretty good position. Pretty good. I'd say that's pretty good. Yeah, now we need to apply that scale. So we'll go to scale. Okay, now it's all applied. So it's all ones across the board, which makes sculpting a lot easier. So I'm going to delete all of those. Save just in case something happens. Okay. Oh, weird. Okay, he's showing a diagram. Wow. Man, I've got a lot of stuff I need to fix here. So we need an actual mouth. So I'm gonna give him a mouth. Dang, he looks funky. He looks like a funky monkey. Crease polish? Should that do that? Give him a little bit of toning in the cheeks. Okay, that's pretty good. Maybe, yeah, that's actually a better amount. Because he's big. He's kind of, he's chunky. He's a chunky boy. Let's draw a little bit more there. Okay. But yeah, I like totally omitted the lips, anything like that. Really, I should be focusing on how far this should be going back. So I'm gonna, oops, that's the wrong axis. No wonder. So maybe right there-ish. Yeah. Gosh, he looks like a nightmare. Look at him. Holy moly. Yeah, his cranium needs to be bigger. I see that now. Okay, let's grab in the back. Oh, do I not? Okay, there. Now it's selected. Okay, so we make that. Grab that. Point that. Seems like a pretty good shape. Just gonna use an elastic pull. Okay, that's actually enough, I think. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, maybe we do this. Hmm. This is actually not bad. Yeah, that is pretty good. Okay, well, I just finished that lecture. Um, hmm. I'm gonna go to side view, and I'm just gonna try to fix this up just a little bit before we're officially done today. Man, I can't wait to do like an actually detailed mouth. That's gonna be really interesting. But yeah, dang. Yeah, now it's like it really feels like it's coming to life here. This is cool. Um, it's really coming to life. Beautiful. Love it. Oh, that's actually kind of a good shape. If I just flatten it. Nah, that's actually fine. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it off there, I think. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Um, I'll be streaming next tomorrow from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, per the usual. Um, Same kind of thing. We'll be maybe doing some level design on stream, doing about 30 minutes of that, I think. I wanted to devote most of my time to programming to really get this gameplay ability system down, because there's just so much learning. Like, there's just so much technical knowledge that you need for Unreal Engine, and it's just it's unreal how much. But yeah, um, yeah. So we'll be streaming tomorrow, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Farewell.